intros, but whatever. It is I, Papa Steam, back with another episode of The Writer's Room, where I take a failed storyline, or a current storyline, whichever, and I write it better, because why not? You know? This time, on episode 2, we have this one was hard. This one sucked and I hated it. It is Billy Gunn's King of the Ring victory in 1999. What happened when Billy Gunn decided, you know what, I'm gonna win King of the Ring and then ruin it. So let me break down what really happened. King of the Ring in the 90s is still a thing. You had some decent winners and some not some decent winners. Just saying. So 1999, the tournament ended with the final was Billy Gunn and X-Pac. I think both were DX at the time. I actually don't remember. And Billy Gunn won in about 3 or 4 minutes, and it was like, yeah, he won. Instead of making anything worthy of that, he tried to fight for the rights to DX, which okay, that's not a bad start. But then he got Road Dogg arrested, and then he lost that. Okay, sure. And then he rushed into a SummerSlam feud with The Rock. Okay, we're talking big names. And The Rock buried him in a promo. And then they had the Kiss My Ass match. And Billy Gunn lost. And then immediately went back to what he was doing before. New Age Outlaws. And he just became a joke, and they never mentioned his King of the Ring win ever again. Even so much so as future winner Edge said he wouldn't Billy Gunn his King of the Ring run. Bars. So, let's rock and cock with this. So there's 3 things to note about this King of the Ring run. Billy Gunn is not a big name, and he kinda was never meant to be a big name. There was already so many main event players at the time. You had Stone Cold, Undertaker, Triple H, Rock, Kurt Angle was about to burst on the scene. Vince McMahon was still a thing. So we have to keep Billy Gunn in his lane, but we have to make it seem reasonable and organically come up with why he should be important in his lane. Because another reason it failed is because you tried to push him to the moon against guys who, let's face it, they were in a different tier. So, if we're going to do this stupid tournament, fine. We'll start at King of the Ring. We'll keep the tournament as is. Billy Gunn he beat Kane somehow in the first round. Then he beats Ken Shamrock and he makes it to the finals. Start at King of the Ring 99. I would change one thing though. I would have X-Pac lose in the semifinal match to who actually lost to X-Pac, the Road Dogg. So the final at King of the Ring 1999, the main event is the New Age Outlaws imploding. Is Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg. Also, just a thought, this could just be me, maybe have the match go longer than 5 minutes. Really have this be like a knockdown brawl. Don't have it be ridiculously long. 30 minutes is too much. 15 or 20. I'd really play up the story elements. I'd play up, the animosity, friendship almost. They can respect each other. They can go back and forth, do a good sequence of wrestling holds and, and takedowns, and just kind of laugh it off because they're boys, right? And yeah, and then at the end, Billy Gunn will hit the famous star on the Road Dogg, 1, 2, 3, and Billy Gunn will win the King of the Ring. Road Dogg gets up, he's smiling through it. He was like, you know what, you were the better man. Offers his hand, and Billy Gunn just he kind of looks at it a bit, and he says, no. And just leaves him hanging. And Gunn just walks to the back. Road Dogg just standing in the ring, a little confused, but he laughs it off. He laughs it off here. He's like, all right, cool. Next night on Raw, there is a plan for a coronation ceremony, right? And Billy Gunn is about to be coronated when out comes the Road Dogg and the rest of DX at the time. So you would have X-Pac, China, and Triple H, I believe, because Shawn Michaels was hurt at the time. Yeah. It was either he was hurt or this is when he took his ball and went home. One of the he is not in the Federation right now. Let's just rock with that. So Road Dogg comes out, Billy Gunn, and he says, before we get this coronation ceremony thing majing going, I want to ask Billy what happened about last night. Why didn't you shake my hand? Out comes Billy Gunn. He's looking a little like, I don't want to say like depressed, but he's very like solemn. He's kind of to himself. He's not the wild character that he was at the time. And so Gunn grabs a mic. He kind of just stands there for a bit, and he looks at Road Dogg, and he answers him honestly. And this bit needs to be as serious as possible. He says, I was never the front man. I was always shoved back. I sat back and watched Hunter get that main event push as everyone revered him as a god. I watched China become the most dominant woman ever in this company. I watched Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, become the greatest spectacle today. And none of you asked, what about Billy Gunn? The badass. You know what I was? The joke guy, Mr. Ass, the backup. While everybody had their moment, I sat back. And even when I won last night, none of you were appreciative. And he looks right back at Dogg, and he says, I'm not going to respect you in this moment because this is my time now. I don't want this to be like Ciampa Gargano, that whole thing. But you get my point. So look at me, he says, this is my time now. I am now the man on the push. And while that happens, China gets behind Road Dogg and punches him right in the nards. Just low blow. And all four of them kind of go at it. Triple H just kind of walks to the back. He's like, I don't want any part of this. And that's the thing right now. Triple H is busy with something right now. Currently, it is not the time to fuck with it. So, okay, and especially with this rewriting, we're on a strict timeline if we want to kind of keep legitimacy of some things and title reigns or whatever. We're on a timeline here. So Billy Gunn decides, I'm done. After all of that, he leaves DX. He says, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And this is where like it splits off. Billy Gunn and China are on one side, Road Dogg and X-Pac are on the other, and Triple H is kind of doing his thing because he is currently working for a number one contendership match with The Rock. So let's keep him to that. So this leads to what the next pay-per-view was, which is Fully Loaded 99. On that card, we have three matches that are of importance right now. We have China versus X-Pac. We have a hardcore match between Billy Gunn, King Billy Gunn, and the Road Dogg. And what actually happened in real life, a number one contenders match for the WWF title, Triple H and The Rock. Because this is when, I believe this was the night of Stone Cold versus Undertaker with McMahon, whatever, that thing. So, I'm going to go one by one. China squashes X-Pac because this is about the time where she was made to be a big deal. And she should be a big deal right now. So, squashes him. Maybe 5 minutes. Probably not, though. The hardcore match between King Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg. And during his entrance, King Billy Gunn comes out with new music. Maybe not. He's not the one Billy Gunn. That was fucking stupid. Let's not do that. Right? Comes out to new music. He is very... He's not going so nuts with the King gimmick like King Barrett or King Corbin, let's say. Because that's just not his character. So have him, be a little different. Have him be very solemn and to himself during all of this. He comes out to new music, hardcore match with Road Dogg. This should go a while. This should go about 15 to 20 minutes. And Gunn should just batter him. I don't want to say it's a squash, but he should batter him. Gunn becomes more aggressive. He's taunting a lot. He's grabbing a mic, cutting promos during the match. And he goes so far as, towards the end of the match, grabs a chair and wraps it around Road Dogg's arm. Gets on the middle rope, and he stomps on it, breaking his arm. Then, as Dogg is in pain, picks him up, famous her onto the chair, 1, 2, 3, Billy Gunn has won. And then the number one contenders match, I wouldn't change too much of the match. The match was fine. But I would have Billy Gunn get involved with Chyna on the outside. But Chyna doesn't seem like they're on the same page. Because during this time, Chyna and Triple H were very close. And that's kind of, that's how it is. I'm not going to react to your song. I apologize. Maybe later, but currently no. I might cut that out of the video. I don't know. But regardless, yeah, Billy Gunn gets involved. He doesn't get involved physically, so great. But distracts it, and The Rock picks up the win instead of Triple H. So now the big man has to get involved, right? After Fully Loaded, Gunn cuts a promo about how he is now crippled DX. And he's still a little upset that Chyna didn't get involved as he wanted her to. And he says, you know what? I'll forgive you if you don't pull that again. Just very, very dictatorly, very like king. Duh. As he's cutting this promo, he kind of does this for a few weeks, where he's just talking about how he dismantled DX and he broke the arm of the Road Dogg, and Chyna straight up killed a man. During one of the promos, you hear Triple H's music, and he just runs down with the sledgehammer, whatever, and he just goes full power mode, beating the absolute hell out of him. So that night, the main event of Raw is a 6-man tag match, the implosion of DX. Right before the match, Chyna comes up to Triple H and says, look, Billy's going through some shit. Let's take it easy. Just for tonight, though. Because they know they have to be on the same team. The match is Chyna, Billy Gunn, Triple H. I should have mentioned that. Chyna, Billy Gunn, Triple H against the Road Dogg and X-Pac and Kane. Because X-Pac and Kane, I think, were still a tag team at this point. So yeah, Chyna says to Triple H, look, I know you have your differences. Just tonight, let's be the bigger man. Triple H is like, fine. But, as you probably expect, can't keep his cool. Chain, choke slams, and pins Chyna 1, 2, 3. So the next week, Triple H makes a challenge for SummerSlam. Says, Billy Gunn, I want your ass, Mr. Ass. Trying to bring back that character. And Gunn says, no, you do not get to make challenges, sir. I am the one who does this. And Gunn says, you know what? I challenge you to a match at SummerSlam. You can get your laughs in there how you want, because Billy Gunn is a funny character. That's just the guy he is. But he says, I challenge you, but Chyna's the special guest referee. And Chyna, leading up to SummerSlam, she's incredibly conflicted because she respects the two, but there's always that tension of, is she going to do the right thing? So, SummerSlam comes along, Billy Gunn versus Triple H with Chyna as your guest referee. Before the match, she's stopped by the Road Dogg, whose arm is in a cast now from Fully Loaded and also that 6-man tag, so he's really feeling it. And he pleads her, he's like, look, do the right thing. Oh, Stell's online. It's a shame he's not watching this video currently. Oh well. Yeah. I forgot where I was. Yeah, he's like, do the right thing here. And she's like, fine. So during the match, she keeps it very, very balanced. Very, she's not picking sides here. Triple H tries to do some just too aggressive shit. She calls that off. Billy Gunn tries to cheat, and she calls that off. She's calling it down the middle. Toward the end, Triple H hits a pedigree. 1, 2, 3. Triple H has won. Now, I know you're going to tell me that I'm burying Billy Gunn right now in his storyline. Here's the thing. The whole point of my bit is not for him to get wins right now, because let's be real. it shouldn't have happened in the slightest, making him King of the Ring. It shouldn't have. But a lot better can be done by giving him story beats and making him seem like this character that he can be and a serious edge to him versus just racking up wins. Because he'll do that on his big wins. He'll be doing that on his own, kind of on Raw. He's like, whatever. If he is in a match, he tries not to be. If he is, he'll squash someone. But the whole point is that there's just bigger stars. And Triple H we all knew he was the bigger star. Had to win. So, 1, 2, 3. He hits the pedigree and wins. Billy Gunn just loses it. And after the match, he's getting up slowly, but he takes a sledgehammer. He starts battering Triple H. He tries to hit China, and he can't. He stops. And he's like, he can kind of sense that he's losing it. So he turns around. He just goes. He's going to try and beat on Triple H again. And China turns her back on him, hits him with the low blow, and helps Triple H out of the building. So now we go full nuts Billy Gunn. Full lost his shit. He starts trying to follow China backstage, demanding respect, just berating her. He even forces her in a match with Billy Gunn on Raw, and he DQs himself immediately as he just wails on her. He's taking chairs and just rinsing on her. Road Dogg comes down to help during that match. Billy Gunn says nope. He takes a kendo stick and just hits him across the face. Maybe do for realsies, if you can. You want to show just how he's getting power hungry. He wrestles more. He's wrestling every week and every show if possible. He's wasting jobbers. It can be with actual wins or straight up disqualifications. He doesn't care. He's wasting people right now. At Unforgiven, he goes so far as to cost China an Intercontinental title match against the champion Jeff Jarrett on an episode. And then the next night on Raw, he beats Jeff Jarrett for the Intercontinental title as a way to spite China. But he refuses to work pay-per-views now. Because they're like, oh, who are you going to face at the next pay-per-view? And he says, no, I'm not going to work. What are you going to do at Rebellion? What's the next pay-per-view? And he says, I'm not going to work Rebellion. This title, this Intercontinental title, is my crown. I am the king of all continents. I don't need to work the show if I don't want to. He doesn't defend it anymore, and he just holds it. He sees himself as his royalty, which makes him seem legitimate. So at Rebellion, any match that a person from DX was on, he's on commentary, and he just spends the whole match talking over JR and Jerry Lawler and just berates DX. He low blows Road Dogg to lose to a match to, in real life it was Chris Jericho, but it could be anyone right now. The whole X-Pac and British Bulldog, he is just making fun of X-Pac, just throwing so many personal jabs. And watching Triple H defend the WWF title against The Rock, he's just berating him. He's not getting involved. But the natural charisma of Billy Gunn is going to show when he's being an asshole right now. So that all happens at Rebellion. You get another month of just destroying jobbers and not defending the Intercontinental title. Billy Gunn is holding it and after every match, he puts on the belt and he just stands to the boos of the crowd as if they were cheers to the king. At No Mercy, China wins a number one contenders match in a triple threat, beating Jeff Jarrett and Mark Henry, and she's now number one contender to the Intercontinental title, which is all leading to Survivor Series. Here, all of DX, they're not in matches because it's all about picking sides, very civil war. Here, ideally, is where you want to break down the history of DX. You want to talk about the good times, the bad, everything that has occurred because of this. On the Go Home show, Triple H announces that DX will be at ringside, and they will be in the corner of whoever they choose. He says, I know you've done bad. I've done bad too. DX will be there. They can choose their side. They're their own person, right? So this all comes to a head at Survivor Series. The first title defense, technically, the first legitimate title defense of Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn defending the Intercontinental title against China. On the outside, it's Triple H, X-Pac, Road Dogg, and Shawn Michaels. Whether he was injured or he brought his ball back from home, he's there. All four of them stand behind China. And King Billy Gunn immediately starts to lose it. He's like, I will have order. I am the king. This match is incredibly physical, incredibly aggressive, but it's very storytelling. It's very... Billy Gunn notices he's losing control now. He starts to break down. China starts to get ahead. Match keeps going. Every time it seems like Billy Gunn's getting an edge, he looks at all of DX and he just stops. And he just kind of like spaces out a bit, and which allows China to get back to him. Finally, towards the end, China pins Billy Gunn to win the Intercontinental title. I know, for a second time, you're going to say that I'm burying him. But I will remind you that this is more of a story angle and less of a character thing. Because we can all be honest here. At the time, in 1999, Billy Gunn was not main event quality. I could have tried to make a main event quality, but because there were so many main event players right now, it's Stone Cold, Undertaker, Rock, Mankind, Angle was about to be there. Triple H was there with DX. There was no point in adding another main event tier guy. And yeah, so China's new Intercontinental Champion, DX, has rallied behind her and they're celebrating in the ring. Billy Gunn gets to his feet and he just looks at China, and China just puts out her hand. He looks at it a bit, and he's kind of downtrodden. He like denies it for a bit, and he shakes off. He's like, no, I don't want it. And then Road Dogg comes out, and he offers a hug, and he says, come on. And Billy Gunn accepts. DX embraces him, and they all hug it out. This can lead to the New Age Outlaws coming back again, because I think they won the titles not too long after this. Triple H is still WWF champion. China can work with the IC title, as happened in real life, because this is when she won it from Jarrett. X-Pac can do whatever the fuck X-Pac does. I don't know. Like, do porn, I guess? Bing, bang, boom. And that's how I would book King Billy Gunn. It took a lot to write this. So if you liked it, toss a like. Go on and subscribe. And comment what other storylines you think I should write again. Or follow me on my wrestling Twitter at Tim_the3count to tell me what you liked and didn't like about this. But that's it for me. Papa Steam. I'm out of here.